All right, good afternoon. All this meeting is called to order. Mr. Trollman, has anyone signed up for public comment? All right, here we are this afternoon. No cases to reconsider under agenda item 3. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, then we'll move to agenda item 4, where we're going to consider some tax liability cases. And we have 2 cases on docket 38.
Yes, good afternoon. For the record, Hugh Daniel, Special Program Appeals. That is correct, Chairman Daniel. There are 2 tax liability cases on docket 38. The first case number is TD-24-009-0224. Commissioner Esparza,
Agree with staff recommendations.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff's recommendation.
and Chairman Daniel.
Disagree in part with staff recommendation. The LLC members are not in the firm's employment.
We have 2 votes agreeing with the recommendation. Chairman Daniel, would you like to dissent in part or in whole?
Yeah, I'll dissent in part.
The second case number is TD-24-018-0424. Commissioner Esparza,
Agree with the recommendation that home providers are not in employment, no penalty assessed.
Commissioner Trevino,
I agree with staff's recommendation.
Chairman Daniel.
Agree with staff recommendation.
Thank you. That concludes tax liability.
Thank you. No fair housing cases under agenda item 5. On agenda item 6, we have no child labor cases. Under agenda item 7, we have no wage claim cases on docket 38 that are pulled for additional discussion.
That is correct. There are no cases, no fair housing cases and no child labor cases, and there are no pooled cases for the wage claims on docket 38. However, you should have received the short form dissent list for the wage claims.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on docket 38.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 38.
I concur with the chairman's motion except for the cases on which I am dissenting as reflected on a wage claim short form dissent list for docket 38.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. Let's move to agenda item 8. In consideration of unemployment insurance cases, please proceed when you're ready.
Case number 3493301, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant was approved for a PUA benefits in May of 2020 and stopped filing payment requests in March of 2021. The claimant then received determinations reversing the previous PUA and eligibilities on September 13th of 2022 and was not expecting any additional correspondence from the commission. The claimant was not aware of the determinations issued to him on October of 2022 because he was not in claim status and was not expecting to receive documentation from the commission. The claimant also testified that he was unaware that he had to sign up to receive electronic correspondence. And while commission records indicate the determinations were issued to the claimant electronically, the system shows no electronic correspondence sign-in information. Since the claimant received misinformation due to the commission's delay in sending these determinations, and because commission records are not clear regarding whether the claimant elected to receive electronic correspondence, the claimant's appeal should be deemed timely. Reverse the AT, timely claimant appeal, resubmit.
The AT decision is supportable. The claimant stated that in his appeal was filed late because he was not checking electronic correspondent inbox at the time the determinations were sent under the assumption that there were no problems with the claim that he had filed. Since the appeal was late, the prior determinations are left in effect. On the merits of the PUA claim, the claimant was ineligible for PUA benefits beginning on December 27th, 2020, because he submitted the required employment documentation after the deadline for doing so. The overpayment arose from the ineligibility rule and should be affirmed. The claimant was at fault in creating the overpayment, and thus the overpayment should not be waived. Accordingly, we should affirm the AT decision. The claimant filed late appeal. The claimant was ineligible for PUA benefits beginning December 27th, 2020. The claimant has an overpayment of $1,089, and the claimant is ineligible for a waiver of the overpayment.
Timely claimant appeal, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case.
Case number 3618794, Commissioner Esparza.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant quit her position with the temporary help firm because when she accepted a permanent position with the client company. The claimant testified that she had been working full-time and that the new job included the same work. Therefore, because the claimant quit for another job, she quit without work-connected good cause. We should affirm the AT decision, voluntary leaving overpayment.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant was working for a temporary help firm on a temporary part-time assignment. When the client company offered her a permanent full-time position at a higher rate of pay, the claimant accepted this offer and started working directly for the client company. An individual who is partially employed and who leaves such employment to accept other permanent full-time employment that will increase the individual's wages is not subject to disqualification under 207.045G of the Act. Therefore, the claimant in this case is not subject to disqualification due to her concluding her temporary position and accepting a permanent full-time position with the client company. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving, no overpayment.
Voluntary leaving, overpayment.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3623824, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. On 6/11 of 23, after the claimant was separated from her job, she immediately filed a UA claim in Florida, which is where her employer's headquarters were located. On 7/11 of 23, the claimant was informed by the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity that she did not have any basis period wages or any base period wages that were reported in Florida. The claimant took immediate action and filed her UI claim in Texas. As such, the claimant was demonstrated an adequate cause to backdate her additional claim to 6/18 of 23, which was effective date of the original UI claim she filed in Florida. Reverse the AT, backdate the claimant's 7/16/23 additional claim to 6/18 of 23.
The AT decision is supportable. After filing a valid initial claim in Texas early in 2023, the claimant later filed an additional claim in Florida. Florida told her, hang on one sec. Correction, so reverse the AT decision. The decision is not supportable. Follow along here. After filing a valid initial claim in Texas early in 2023, claimant later filed an additional claim in Florida. Florida told her later that she should have filed a claim in Georgia, which she proceeded to do. Georgia later informed her that she should have filed in Texas, which was correct. By the time she filed in the correct state, she had missed several weeks of unemployment benefits. It's unfortunate that in Florida, agency misinformed the claimant about which state to file the claim in. Even though TWC was not responsible for the misinformation, a sister agency in another state was. Under the narrow circumstances of this case, I'm willing to find that the claimant had good cause to backdate her additional claim. Accordingly, we should reverse the AT decision. The claimant had good cause to backdate her additional claim.
Valid claim, backdating approved, memo to investigate ability.
Thank you. We have a unanimous decision and we have 1 minute.
Case number 3629678, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not correct. While the claimant reported to the commission that she had a medical issue and was under the care of a doctor, she also indicated that she was not prevented from performing the type of work she normally does. The claimant similarly testified that though she had medical issues, she can still work. While the claimant may have been unable to work for one day, this does not impact her eligibility to receive benefits, as she has consistently stated that she is able to perform work. Reverse the AT, claim unable to work, no overpayment.
We should affirm the AT decision. Although the claimant's initial fact-finding statement specified that her medical concerns rendered her unable to work, in her later testimony at the AT hearing, she provided inconsistent information about her ability to work. Furthermore, since the claimant did not provide any documentation with evidence of her ability to work, we should affirm that the AT decision, ability not eligible from May 14th of 2023 through July 22nd, 2023, overpayment.
Claimant able to work, no overpayment.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent.
Case number 3631491, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant provided credible testimony indicating that she might have to resign due to concerns about not being paid on time and not being provided health insurance, which she had been promised. The employer then discharged the claimant, even though the claimant had merely indicated that she might have to resign due to the concerns or her concerns about timely compensation and lack of health insurance. The claimant did not say that she was resigning or provide any written resignation. She was, or merely providing her employer with advance notice of her possible future actions if her concerns were not resolved. Therefore, by initiating the job separation based on the claimant's statements, the employer discharged the claimant for reasons other than misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant's job separation was the result of continually threatening the employer that she was going to resign over concerns about her pay. The employer stated that most of these concerns were unfounded. Moreover, the employer stated that the claimant's threats of quitting caused animosity in the office and conflict amongst staff members. Lastly, the employer notified the claimant that her behavior was inappropriate. As such, the claimant's action constituted work-connected misconduct. Therefore, we should affirm the AT decision of misconduct.
Misconduct.
Short form dissent.
I have your short form dissent. That is the last of the pooled UI cases for docket 38. You should have received the short form dissent list for docket 38.
Move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 38.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting, as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 38.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting is reflected in UI short form dissent list for docket 38.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's the end of agenda items 1 through 8. We'll take a short recess. Agenda item 9, recertifications of community rehabilitation programs to participate in the PPD program.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mr. Serna, Juan Garcia with the Work Rehab Division. This afternoon, for your consideration, we have six CRPs that are up for recertification to participate in the Purchasing for People with Disabilities Program. All CRPs are paying minimum wage or higher, and they are in compliance with the PPD program rules. The CRPs are as follows: Enterprise Professional Services, Inc. in Austin, Expanco, Inc. in Fort Worth, Goodwill Services, Inc. in El Paso, Relief Enterprises of Texas in Austin, Southeast Keller Corporation in Houston, and RGR Industries in Westlaco. Staff recommends the recertification of these six CRPs. With that, I can answer any questions you might have.
Are there any questions or comments?
None here.
None, Chairman.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve recertification of the following community rehabilitation programs for participation in the Purchasing from People with Disabilities Program as recommended today by staff. Enterprise Professional Services Incorporated, Expanco Incorporated, Goodwill Services Incorporated, Relief Enterprises of Texas Incorporated, Southeast Keller Corporation, and RGR Industries Incorporated.
A second.
Been moved and seconded, the motion carries. So agenda item 10, proposed amendments to 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 800, General Administration, Subchapter B, Allocations, Local Workforce Development Boards.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Serna. For the record, I'm Joel Mullins with the Workforce Development Division. Commissioners, before you today for your consideration and adoption are final rule amendments to Chapter 800 General Administration. In an open meeting on July 2nd of this year, the Commission approved proposed amendments to TWC's Chapter 800 rules regarding Subchapter B allocations to align with current federal program requirements, primarily those relating to the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Additionally, the final rule removes references to Project Rio, including removal of Section 800.65 in its entirety. The proposed rule amendments were published in the July 19th, 2024 issue of the Texas Register for a 30-day public comment period, and no comments were received. Today, staff recommends adopting the amendments to Chapter 800. Should the Commission adopt these rules, staff requests the ability to make minor non-substantive changes to the document in order to comply with the publication requirements of the Texas Register and the Office of the Secretary of State. This concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the adoption of amendments to 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 800, Subchapter B, and the appeal of Section 800.65 as recommended today by staff.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded, motion carries.
Thank
This
you.
is agenda item 11, proposed amendments to 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 817, Child Labor to implement House Bill 2459.
Good afternoon, Chairman Daniel, Commissioner Trevino, Commissioner Esparza, and Mr. Serna. For the record, I'm Jason Stolinski, Deputy Division Director over Fraud Deterrence. Commissioners, for your consideration for approval are proposed rule amendments to Chapter 817, the Texas Child Labor Rules. During the 88th Texas Legislative Regular Session, the legislature passed and the governor signed HB 2459. HB 2459 restructured Texas Labor Code Chapter 51 and provided for commission review of child labor appeal tribunal orders. The proposed revisions to Chapter 817 are being brought forth to effectuate the changes from HB 2459 and to help clarify our child labor rules. Of note, staff is proposing a new subchapter D, violations and administrative penalties. The proposed subchapter clarifies the distinction between a violation and an offense in Chapter 51 and the agency's jurisdiction over violations. This new subchapter also describes how staff conduct investigations and determine penalties. These rules are a codification of existing procedures. The rule amendments would also make some technical updates, such as renaming the Labor Law Department to the Wage and Hour Department. Additionally, Texas Government Code Section 2001.039 requires that every 4 years, each state agency review and consider for readoption, revision, or repeal each rule adopted by that agency. Staff have reviewed Chapter 817 as part of the proposed rule in accordance with the statutory requirement and has determined the rules continue to be necessary. Staff recommends submitting the proposed rules for publication in the Texas Register for a 30-day public comment period. Staff also requests the ability to make minor, non-substantive changes to the document in order to comply with the publication requirements of the Texas Register and the Office of the Secretary of State. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the amendments to 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 817, Child Labor for publication for public comment as recommended today by staff.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, motion carried. So agenda item 12, publication for public comment, proposed new 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 844, prohibited coronavirus vaccine mandates by private employer.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Les Trubman, General Counsel. Before you today for your consideration for approval are proposed rules to create new Chapter 844, prohibited coronavirus vaccine mandates by private employer. On July 9th, 2024, staff was requested to restructure the draft rules so that a review by the 3 commissioners of any unfavorable decision in the case could happen. Today, staff presents 2 versions of the rulemaking document for consideration of proposal and publication for public comment. The rulemaking document initially presented on July 9th and a second version, which includes a commission appeal process. The second version also permits both an employer and a complainant to avail themselves of the appeal processes. Staff requests permission to make non-substantive changes to the rules proposed for public comment to conform with the Texas Register requirements. With that, I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
All right. Any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
All right. The difference between the July 9th document and the September 17th document, you said was in the new document there, we've added an appellate process through the commission. It would be similar to like tax cases or UI cases or something along those lines. It follows our kind of our standard procedure on that. And then we've added the same appellate rights for the claimant making the claim against the employer.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
That's right.
All right. Well, gentlemen, we've got 2 versions of this in front of us. We can come at this from several different ways. Does anybody have any amendments or changes that they want to consider for either one of the documents?
None.
Okay, we can dispense with that. Let's take up the newer document first. This is the September 17th document. This is the one I'll be voting for. It's the new version that staff has presented. Are there any other votes for this document?
All in favor.
All right, and then there's the July 9th document. Are there any votes for that document? Okay. I can make a motion. Does somebody else want to make a motion?
I think I have a motion. I don't know if it'll
Let's
read
see.
like yours.
See what you got.
I move that we approve the newly proposed 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 844, prohibited coronavirus vaccine mandates by private employer as dated and presented on July 9th of 2024 for publication, for public comment, and permit staff to make non-substantive changes to conform with the Texas Register requirements.
All right, so your motion is for the July 9th document.
Okay,
Is that right?
Amended to the most recent.
that's the most recent, I believe, right? Yours was September 17th?
Yeah, that's the most recent document.
Okay.
All right, I didn't hear a second for that motion.
I
Okay.
second if it's did we correct the amendment to the latest version?
Let me offer this motion. and
We
see
did,
this-
yeah.
Let me just read this and see what we got here. I move we approve new 40 Texas Administrative Code, Chapter 844, prohibited coronavirus vaccine mandates by private employer for publication for public comment using the version dated September 17th, 2024 that contains appeal rights for complainants and a process to appeal an unfavorable decision to the commission.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Are there any objection? Hearing no objection, motion carries. The version will go with September 17th publication. There's no objection to staff making non-substantive changes.
Great.
All right,
Appreciate that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz.
Let's move then to agenda item 13. This is adopting an order authorizing the use of the Special Administration Fund.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. For the record, Chris Nelson, Chief Financial Officer. On September 3rd, the Commission approved submission of TWC's legislative appropriation request. Within that request were several items of expense related to the unemployment insurance program, in which TWC is requesting an appropriation from the Special Administration Fund in lieu of unemployment insurance federal funds. These items include the UI portion of its DCS mainframe costs, funding for the SIDES capital project, UI cybersecurity cost, UI fraud detection and deterrence costs, and the UI portion of its network modernization capital project, totaling $21,468,007 for the upcoming biennium. Section 203.202 of the Texas Unemployment Compensation Act describes the allowable uses of the Special Administration Fund. Subsection C allows the Commission by resolution entered into its minutes to authorize charges against the Special Admin Fund, any expenditure the Commission considers proper and in the good interest of the unemployment insurance subtitle, if the resolution states no other funds are available for expenditures. This afternoon, based on the discussion paper and ordering your materials, I am asking the Commission to authorize the use of the Special Administration Fund for those items described in the discussion paper. That concludes my remarks, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
I mean, I think the first 21,468,000 is fine. It's the last $7 I had a few questions on. Yes. Very precise. All right. If there's no comments or questions.
Issue's not available.
Ish was not available. I
Yes,
see that.
yes.
We're very precise today. I like that. Is there a motion today?
Chairman, I move that we approve the use of $21,468,007 from the Special Administrative Fund under Section 203.202 of the Texas Unemployment Compensation Act for commission-approved projects and activities described in the discussion paper and presented today by staff.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Agenda item 14, Business Enterprises of Texas Customer Satisfaction Survey and Cost Analysis Report to the Governor and Legislative Budget Board.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Trevino, Commissioner Esparza, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, Cheryl Fuller with the Vocational Rehabilitation Division. Today, I bring for your consideration and approval the Business Enterprises of Texas Customer Satisfaction and Cost Analysis Report to the Governor and the Legislative Budget Board pursuant to Rider 38, which is part of TWC's performance reporting for the 2024-2025 biennium. The survey covers the state host agency satisfaction with operational conditions of BET facilities located in state agency buildings. It includes hours of operation, pricing, menu items, and product lines for cafeterias, snack bars, convenience stores, and micro markets. The survey also covers satisfaction with product lines and availability of product in vending machines. We conducted this year's survey in May 2024. We increased our outreach efforts as part of the survey administration period and are pleased to report that we had a 38% increase in survey responses. Our results of note, we had 89% of participants agree that the respondents agree that the operating hours are conducive to their daily schedule. 80% agreed that our facilities make a wide variety of food and beverage choices available to them. 81% agreed that healthy options are readily available, and over 80% rated the quality of food, the quality of service, and the overall atmosphere of BET facilities at 3.5 stars or better. Staff is seeking Commission's approval of this year's annual report for submission to the Governor and the LBB and asking permission to make non-substantive corrections to the final formatting of the report. This concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the Business Enterprise of Texas Customer Satisfaction Survey and Cost Analysis Report for submission to the Governor and Legislative Budget Board as recommended today by staff.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Agenda item 15 has been postponed to a future commission meeting. Agenda item 16 is recommendations for Adult Education and Literacy Advisory Committee membership.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners, and Mr. Cerna. For the record, Carrie Ballast, Workforce Development Division. Texas Labor Code, Chapter 315.005, and Texas Administrative Code, Rule Chapter 805.43 require the Texas Workforce Commission to establish an Adult Education and Literacy Advisory Committee. The advisory committee must not be composed of more than 9 members and must include at least one representative from the business community and one representative from a local workforce development board. For your consideration today, staff recommends the appointment of 2 new members, Kevin Rose, Senior Vice President for Student Success for Northeast Texas Community College, and Chris Tovar, Director of Continuing Education at University of Texas Permian Basin. Staff are also recommending the reappointment of Leslie Cantu of the committee's current representative for the business community. If approved, all 3 members will enter into 2-year terms that expire in September of 2026. This concludes my remarks, and I am available to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the appointment of Kevin Rose and Chris Tovar and the reappointment of Leslie Cantu to each serve 2-year terms on the Adult Education and Literacy Advisory Committee as recommended today by staff.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Looks like we do have a legislative report today. Tip of the Stetson to you. That's another nice tie that you've brought in here.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. For the record, Michael Brick, Governmental Relations. This Thursday morning, Mr. Cerna will be testifying before the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services to provide the committee with an update on the agency's implementation of Senate Bill 7 that was enacted by the 88th Texas Legislature, 3rd called session. This concludes my remarks. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
No questions.
None.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
An executive director's report.
No report today, sir.
Is there any other order of business come before the commission? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Chairman, I move to adjourn.
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn, and we're adjourned. Thank you.